Friends and followers, it's about midnight and it's Friday night and I'm sleepless in Seattle. Actually, no, I'm sleepless in Las Vegas and I'm not the kind of guy that's going to be out partying tonight. I got bigger problems to solve. I can't get the Henry amplifier to work on 10 meters, and that is a total tragedy. So anyway, let's look at this circuit together, and this is my theory here. So I can't get this thing to go on 10 meters, but if you look at the parts list on the Henry 2KD5, this coil L2 is said to be a 24 megahertz coil. So when you flick this thing at 10 meters, they have a tap which is right smack off the coil. So I'm thinking that this is a 10 meter coil here, and that this has to actually just not use the coil at all. When you go to 10 meters, the coil is basically shorted all the way through, and you simply don't use any of the windings in this coil, in the L coil. So that's my little theory anyway. And if you go down to the parts count and look at the L2 and L4, L2 and L4, L2 is saying it's a 24 megahertz tank coil. I would like that to say it's a 28 megahertz tank coil, but it doesn't. So I'm thinking, how are they bleeding off the extra 4 megahertz to get 28 or 5 megahertz? I don't know. And then they say this L4 is the tank coil. So that's fine. And there's the variable inductor. That's all well and good. So my point is, we're going to look at the Henry 3 amplifier, and I'll show you what I found on that. So I'm thinking, for whatever reason, on this amplifier that I have, this wire here for the 10 meter setting is pretty much attached right there. So it's not at the end of the coil, it's kind of toward the 15 meter winding. So it would go like 80, 40, 20, 15, and it's sort of attached here for 10. So I think tomorrow I want to take the amplifier apart and actually then unsolder this wire here and move it over to here and see if it works. I can get drive on 10 meters, but I can't get resonance. Okay, so here's my pot of gold. So this is the other Henry amplifier. This is the, what is this thing? Schematic of the Henry 3 KD amplifier. And take a look at this. So L10 here. This is pretty much the same. I'm not sure what this switch does here really, but the 10 coil is set up the same way, sort of. So if you go down here, I'm guessing this is 10 meters that goes here, this short, so it probably goes like, let's see, 80, 80, 40, 20, 15, 10. Does this have 160 on it? I don't know. 160, 80, 40, 20, 15, 10. Maybe it does. Anyway, if you look at what this L10 is, they call it out here as a 10 meter coil. So I'm thinking the other Henry I have isn't too different. So that's L10, L10, 10 meter coil pi network. So it's probably the same in the Henry that I have. It's probably the same in the 2KD-5. It's probably the same schematic somewhat as this guy here. So where did my schematic go? There it is. So I'm thinking I just gotta move this wire in the 2KD-5 to match this one, and I'm going to be set. That ought to rid me of problems, I'm hoping. So these are somewhat similar. That's probably the 10-meter coil, which means I can move the wire here and the thing ought to resonate, so I can get drive. I just can't get any power out of it. When I take this loading to full capacitance, I can get a little bit of power out of it. And it almost makes me think this thing is inductance is too high, because when these two are equal, that's when you start getting some resonance, I read. So anyway, and what happened with this thing was for 10 meters, 10-meter coil was disconnected. So which one is that? Okay, they had this coil here disconnected, so I had to connect these two wires onto the switch, and that brought the drive back for 10 meters. So that worked. All right, well, that's my little video here of the plans to see if I can get 10 meters working on the 2KD-5 desktop Henry. Wish me luck. And maybe now it's time to go to sleep, as it's 12:06 a.m. Have a good night. Take care. Have a good weekend. Be safe.